I really don't know what I'm doing here. I thought it was easy just to log on and it would be there, but for some reason, Jasmine, Jasmine, what are you laughing at? I am not the cat. I don't know what I'm doing. Keefer's going to kill me. I'm supposed to be on live here. I can't. I don't know what I'm doing. How did that appear? I am not a cat. Just go away. Leave me alone. Jazz, I really don't know. Hello. Right. Okay. I think we're live now. Got it fixed. How are you? Simon Kitchen here, Belfast Chance TV. Hopefully a little bit of technical issues there beforehand, so hopefully we're up and running now and everything is okay. First of all, I want to make sure that everybody else is okay. I know we've had a very, very difficult 10, 11 months now with COVID being in the air, and I hope you're all still washing your hands and looking after each other. It's a difficult time. Hopefully the light at the end of the tunnel is getting shorter and brighter, and we hope to see you again soon. We've got a couple of guests that we're going to bring on very shortly. And the season ticket holders we've talked about this before, vitally, vitally important to the organisation. We really do appreciate all your support over the years, both at the arena, off the ice, and obviously at this difficult time as well. So thank you very, very much to all the season ticket holders for your continued support. You don't really want to see me, although I'm going to be out there. Oh, hello. Hi, Adam. How are you?
How's it going, Sis? Or
I'm okay, mate.
You look better as
Mason. How are we keeping?
Yeah, not bad. I liked your little cat video there.
I didn't know if it was working or not. I've turned this system's new to me, so I'm getting old and didn't know how to turn it on properly. So hopefully it's working okay now. All right, miss, what's happening?
Yeah, all good, all good. You look good as a cat, Sis. I liked it.
It blends in well, mate. You know, it's I've come across as worse before, so I'll take being a cat. All right, Adam. I know it's been a difficult 10 months for everybody. It's been everybody's getting a bit bored with it. Obviously, the NHL's back on and a couple of other leagues around the country, and I'm sure you're certainly missing the Curtis Corral, being on the ice with the boys and doing what you do best.
Yeah, obviously not going to the arenas. That's the part that we're really missing right now, and obviously being part of competitive games. But certainly the NHL coming back on, and the rest of Europe, and following some of the players that we've had here. That has helped a wee bit there, just to kind of keep our heads in the game, but certainly missing our own action at the SSE.
Yes, I'm sure young Max is keeping you busy, both in the back garden and maybe playing NHL 21 on the PlayStation as well.
Yeah, he keeps us busy. A lot of time together. He's enjoying watching the hockey coming back on. Unfortunately, the juniors haven't been on the ice now for quite some time, but he gets out on his rollerblades and playing. And he's really big into American football right now. He's a big Tom Brady fan, so we were out today throwing the American football around. So he's keeping me young and moving around and fit.
I want to touch on what we're going to do here tonight, Adam. It's I know that you and Mace have put together videos and a little bit of insight into what happens behind the scenes and obviously preparing for games.
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously we have the game of hockey has grown immensely there, especially in the last 10 years or so with video, and just the ability to watch a team prior to playing them, and then watch their game in your own time, and be able to break it down and really try and zone in on certain things they may do that we can try to implement in our own, or implement how we're going to combat that when we play against them. So it's an important piece, and we've pulled a few things together here. Not too much. We don't want to bombard you with, but just a little bit to kind of give you guys a bit of behind the scenes of what happens from a day-to-day preparing for a game.
Yeah, we'll come to the videos in just a minute. Mace, you've been on board now, behind on the bench, obviously, and you got promoted from Belfast Giants TV. So for me yet. But from your side of things, getting behind the bench with Stewie and Adam, how you found it over the last 18 months or so?
It's really enjoyable. I mean, it's been a big adjustment. I don't think players have any clue when they're playing how much work that the coaches put in, especially now with all the video and all the scouting and things that go into it. So it's been, there's a lot to learn. There's still a lot to learn. The last, I think the last, 10 months or so have actually been really good for me because I've listened to a lot of coaches talk, watched a lot of game tapes and NHL games and things, and just trying to, learn as much as I can with the break that we have. But there's so much that goes on, and you've got so much more to worry about as a coach. But it's been a lot of fun, and I certainly miss being behind the bench with those guys and being in front of the fans at the SSE.
And Keefe, that's you just touched on at the end there. I mean, it's not having the fans available, and I know it's been very, very difficult for everybody because the fans are used to seeing you guys both at the rink and obviously on social media as well. So it's been very, very difficult time for everybody as well.
Sorry there, Simon, when you're talking to me there, I'm trying to figure out this.
He wasn't paying attention.
As per normal. Yeah, we're talking to you, Adam.
I'm having some technical difficulties here with my computer on sharing the screen here. So you can go ahead and ask me the question again there.
Yeah, let's repeat. It is live, so we're okay. I'm just saying it's been a very, very difficult year for everybody. I'm not seeing the fans. You're both on the ice and off the ice. You always like to see the fans. You're an entertainer on the ice as a player. You always like to integrate with the fans off the ice as well.
Yeah, certainly. I think it's important to have interaction with the fans and being able to speak with them and see them after games and stuff like that. It's been tough going these 10 months not being able to interact with the fans. So it's nice to have these little things here where we can interact and give you a little piece of ice hockey. Just having a bit of trouble here with my screen, so forgive me there from vacant.
Yeah, we'll get, as I say, the screen, we'll get that in just a second. Leading into what we're going to put together with your videos yourself, you've got some 5-on-5 action that we've put together against the Cardiff Devils, mostly anyway.
Yeah, I've got some clips here to show you guys. If I can get my screen working from Cardiff, it's giving me some technical difficulties, so it's not working right now. Just give me a second to try and get it running. If you can get Mace's up, maybe go ahead and do that.
If you want to jump in this, it's not a problem.
Hold on here. Let me share my screen then.
Well, these two guys are the technical wizards behind the system itself. I just want to remind you, throughout the show itself, we're going to get some questions from you. So think up some good ones and let us know what they are. You can put them in the comments box to the right-hand side. Drop us a message. We'll ask Adam and Mace as much as we possibly can, and we'll put that together. Hopefully, answer all your questions leading into the show as we move forward.
I've got mine set there, ready to go. Simon, can you guys see that?
Yep, we can see yours, Mace. Let's go with you then, Mace. So you're going to look at the penalty kill situation and how you put together a plan of action against a certain opponent.
Yeah, so we would do this before every game, and I saw a really good quote the other day. It says, "Success is where preparation and opportunity meet." Part of being a coach is making sure that the team is prepared for the opponent they're going to face, for the game plan. There's so much really that goes into it. So we would put this together for every game leading up to it. And again, this is for our penalty killers. We would show it. So. The video that I'm going to show you is a pre-scout of Sheffield. So just to give everybody a little insight and background, game time was 7 p.m. So on a 7 p.m. game, the players would arrive by 5 p.m. Some like to get there a bit earlier. Myself, I used to like to get there around 4:30. And then the pre-scout meeting would happen about 10 past 5. And just to give you an idea and a context of how long that meeting would last, it's only about 4 to 7 minutes. And one of the tough things for a coach is how much information do you show? We want them to be well informed without being robots. We want them to be able to be reactive while they're on the ice. But it's very important to know what to look for and to have some keys to clue in on. So that's what the schedule would look like for a pre-scout meeting before a game, and then what goes into the video. Now, we're not going to show you the whole video tonight, but we would discuss the other team's power play breakout. So what Sheffield's doing on the power play. We would discuss what they're doing in zone, how they set up, which is the video I'm going to show you tonight. We would give their tendencies, both individual as a team, so our players know what to look for. We would touch on the face-offs and show some clips if they've got face-off plays that they run, or what they're doing on a face-off loss, if they're pressuring with 2 or just 1. And then some of the keys to our PK games, things that we want our guys to really focus on. So this here is just a picture of something that we would write up and post in the room. And this would be posted on the wall for everybody to see when they come into the locker room. Here we just put up the top. Obviously, it's a Sheffield's power play. It shows that at the time they were running at 23.5%, which put them second in the league, which meant they were quite dangerous, and we really had to be careful. Most teams, if you don't know, run 2 power play units. So we have both units. So we got unit 1 here and unit 2. And what this does is this diagrams all the players that are on each unit and what their position is on the breakout and the in zone setup. Usually write a couple keys on each things here. Down in the bottom is the 5-on-3, how they would set up. And then we always like to write a few keys, try to keep it brief, maybe 3 to 5. The big one there on the bottom, discipline. The best way to kill a penalty is not to take one. So that would be posted on the wall in the room for the guys to see when they come in. And then a lot of times, too, we post a still shot from a previous game. Now, this one here was from the game that we had played them before, and we just wanted these 2 defensemen, not these guys in particular, but our defensemen, to make sure we had gotten a little bit out of position the game before. And so we wanted to we post the photo on the wall so they know what it is that we want and what they're supposed to be looking for. So the video is going to start playing here, Simon. If you want to cut in at any point, I'll try to stop it and stuff, but just give me a shout if you got any questions, and I'll try to be quiet and answer them the best that I can. So this is what we would show the guys, and like it says, it's the 5-on-4 offensive zone setup. So Sheffield's just entered the zone here, and now they're going to get set up into what they want. All right, now the video is going to show you here. They're set up in what's called a 1-3-1. So you see you got the man on the top here. There's 1. You've got 3 across here. We've got the guys on the outside or the flanks. This guy here is the man in the middle. Some teams would call him the bumper. And then you've got 1 down here, the net front goal line guy. So you've got 1-3-1. It's pretty self-explanatory. This is the setup that most teams are in nowadays. If you watch NHL games, most teams are in some form of the 1-3-1. There's also some of the other setups would be, there's called a boxing one, which I'll show you later, which is what Sheffield does on their 5-on-3. There's things like an overload and other stuff. We're not really going to get into it, but most teams, if you look at it when they're on the power play, are in some form of 1-3-1. So that gives you an idea of the terminology that we would use for each player. And make sure I hit that there. All right, so that's what it looks like when they're set up. So now we'd said tendencies. We want to show guys things that we notice that they're looking to do, both individually and as a team. So this is for the net front goal line guy, for all the Giants fans out there. That's going to be number 63, Brendan Connolly. So you see they're getting set up in their 1-3-1. This guy's going to roll over here. But when the puck goes down to Connolly, we notice that if he's behind the goal line, beneath the goal line, he looks for this quick hit pop play to the guy in the slot a lot. So we wanted to let our guys know you got to look for that play. If he's down there, he's going to look to pop it into this guy right here, the man in the middle, for a quick shot. So we got to be aware of that. Again, you see Sheffield, they're in their 1-3-1. Now this time we noticed, if he's above the goal line, and he did it on multiple times on both sides of the net, we only show the one clip, but he's looking to go quick to the back door. So it's important for our killers to recognize that and be looking out for that, because obviously any puck that gets through there to the back door is a really dangerous pass, and we don't want to allow that to happen. So those are things that we would look for when the puck goes down to the goal line. This one here
may Based, I
Yeah.
want to jump in there. When you're talking about your preparation, how many videos, how many games would you analyze before you actually, you work out exactly what your opponents are doing? Is it just the 1, 2, maybe 3?
Yeah, so we would watch about 2 to 3 games. Okay, we would watch about 2 to 3 games, and then depending on, you might have to watch a few more if there hadn't been a lot of power plays. You might have to watch a few less if there was a lot. Also, depending on when you played them last, but 2 to 3 games is enough to get an idea. And it's also, you're going to see some clips are of us playing them, and obviously, if we can show us doing it well, we want to do that. I was watching an NFL coach the other day for the Cleveland Browns. He was talking to his team, and he said, confidence comes from demonstrated ability. And he said, I'm confident in you guys because I've seen you do it. So if we can show them do it, it's that much more, reinforces what we want and makes them feel good going out there. So, but yeah, 2 to 3 games is enough to put the pre-scout video together for the game. So here, this one here was for the flanks. So remember, the flanks are these guys on the outside, and these guys, when they get the puck, they're looking for what we would call a seam pass. They're looking for passes through here. Okay, so it's important for our guys to recognize that. When I let this one play, you'll see that Hammy there in the middle, he does a good job recognizing it. He knows that seam pass is his. He gets his stick out and he breaks it up. This one here, they've changed sides on us, but again, the flank, he's looking for a quick pass through for the seam, but you see we're in a good position. He's taking away the pass to the top. Rayner's taking the pass to him. Pels is in a good position here to cut this off. Reddix has got him and a stick in the lane. And when I let it play, we do a great job of breaking this up, and it goes up and out of play. So it's important for our guys to know what they want, because you can see the plays happen quite quickly. So PK F1 initiate pushdown. So this is for us. This is we're showing what our guys what we want. All right. So it's going to stop here. So what we're talking about here, this would be F1. All right. This is Ben Lake. He's what we would refer to as F1. And then you see this line I've drawn down the middle. Okay. We want to cut the ice in half. There's a term called the Royal Road, and this right here, this imaginary line, a lot of people will call it the Royal Road. And what that refers to is any pucks that cross the Royal Road. And to give you an idea, I was watching the NHL playoffs back in, August, and I saw a stat after one of the game nights, and it said 33 goals in total throughout all the playoffs were scored that night, and 26 of them had crossed the Royal Road. So both when you're 5-on-5 and killing a penalty, it's important. You want to be able to cut this ice in half, because when they start getting it through you and you've got to shift sides, that's when you get in trouble. So what I'm going to show you here is what we talk about. We call it a push down. So F1, which is Ben Lake, he does a great job. He's in a great position. Their one who's at the top is up in this area here. He's cutting this pass to him, and he's going to dictate to DeLuca where he's got to go, because DeLuca wants to come up with the puck. He's able to cut it and push him down. Again, he comes back, he cuts it. Now he starts pushing him down, and now he's doing what we want him to do. We want to make this guy, we want to dictate to him what he's going to do with the puck. We're in a great position here to block this pass seam across. He's got his man, which is Rayner. Pels is here. Okay, he's fronting this shot, but he's also supposed to be taking this guy away, which he's doing. And Ben Lake's applying pressure. So when this guy's under pressure, he's forced to he has to try to force a pass in. As you see, it doesn't connect. It ends up in the corner. So that there, it just gives you an idea of some of the things that we're looking for and what we're trying to do. And then we would show them the 5-on-3. So they win the draw here. Now it's a 5-on-3 versus Nottingham. And remember I said a box and one. So they're on the 5-on-4, they're in 1-3-1. This is what you would just simply see. They're in a box and one. And a lot of teams, when they're on the 5-on-3, you'll see them set up like this. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get the killers moving. So we'll show you here, these two guys in the bottom, they'll drop below the goal line and they'll pass it back and forth. In the box and one setup, they're trying to spread out the penalty killers and get them moving around, so that then eventually I'll show you what happens. So they're spreading you out, they're moving you around, they want to get Nottingham moving and running, they get them going. Now once they've got them spread out, boom, they're looking for this pass here. we would be telling our killers, you got to stay tight. We want sticks in the lanes. Nothing comes through us to complete a pass. So we'll show you here. They're able to complete this pass through. It hops on him a little bit. He loses it, but that pass is there. And then he steps out. And when he steps out, you see here, he's looking backdoor. We would want this guy to probably shade a little bit more here to play him so he can't walk to the net, but he's also taking that backdoor pass. This guy's got to be in a position where can get a stick in here if it comes through, but also to him, and then he takes a step in here. And the important thing is we want him to move it up and around the outside. We don't want them to be able to hit him there or come through the middle there. So we'd be telling our guys, you got to be tight. You got to take those passing lanes away. I'll show you when it plays here. Nottingham doesn't do a great job. He's able to get this puck through to the back door, which is a really dangerous play. It doesn't go in. So that's the end of my video there. Again, we would be showing a lot more parts, but in quick succession. Obviously, we wouldn't diagram some of the things the same way or talk some of the things out as much because the guys know what it is that we're talking about. But that would be what we would show. That would be what we would show the guys, before the game to hopefully lead them to have success on the penalty kill that night.
And when you're talking, especially on the 5-on-4, when you're on the penalty kill, 5-on-4 and 5-on-3, it's absolutely vital that the communication, both from the goaltender and the 3 or 4 guys that are on the ice, is there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You need lots of communication. We also, in our system, because we are very aggressive, we need guys to trust each other. There has to be layers of trust for us where guys trust that the other guy's doing his job so that then they in turn can do their job. So there's a lot that goes into it. And like I said, we would kill a little bit different than some teams. We're a bit more aggressive than some teams, but I think as a whole, we were quite successful on it last year. And I thought we did improve on it. And hopefully it'll be a strength for us continuing to go forward.
Adam, I want to bring you in here. Mace has obviously covered the penalty kill and from a perspective of 5-on-3, 5-on-4. But over the last 3 years as being a coach, you learned a lot. You spent a lot of the time when you were playing of doing the penalty kill and putting your head into places that people wouldn't put their feet. But it's what have you learned over the last 3 or 4 years as a coach? What you maybe wouldn't have picked up as a player. You need to unmute yourself. It's okay. We're here all week, man. There's no problem.
It's going real well for me today so far. But while Mace was on the audible there and presenting his PK, I got the screen share and figured it out, so we're ready to go. But no, I think that the importance of video is one of the main things that I've really learned as a coach, and the importance of the little details. I think as a player, you're really worried about your own job. So you spoke about the penalty kill there, and when I was going out there, my job was to try to disrupt the other team's power play and block shots when I had to, and really kind of create chaos. There was a lot of things that the coaches would have been trying to teach me that maybe it just didn't hit home with me, or I didn't pay as much attention as I should have been. And I think that's one of the main things that, as a coach, you start to realize as a player, you should have paid more attention and maybe you would have done your job a little bit better. So I think that's one of the main things that I've picked up on since taking over is how much work that the coaches actually do away from the arena.
I mean, it's again, when you were playing, you played in all situations. So especially in the power play, you didn't end up with the points as an all-time leading Belfast Giants defenseman for nothing, but you playing on the power play and you played on the penalty kill. When you're playing in North America, and especially likes of Providence College as well, playing at that level with 4 different lines, it obviously is a lot harder coming to the UK and spending, for argument's sake, 27, 28, 29 minutes on the ice compared to when you're playing in college.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit different. Certainly when I first came over here, we weren't playing 4-line hockey or rotating 6D through consistently. you're not going to find too many players that tell you they want to play less. Most players want to play more. It's just that they have the ability. Are they in good enough shape to be able to maintain the standard throughout the whole game? But it's definitely a bit of an adjustment. And you know, to touch on Adam's point and other things, I think the penalty kill is in some of those, you know, 4-line leagues, 6D leagues. That's some of the places that guys can, you know, get some extra ice time if they work really hard and commit to it. So, you know, it is a little different adjustment when you first come over here. And, you know, recently we've started for a number of years, though. We were playing 4 lines and 6D. So, you know, we'll see where it goes in the future. But, yeah.
Yeah, let's take a couple of questions there. So there's a question for Jeff. How are you able to regain the puck possession against much bigger players time and time again, obviously being 5'3"?
Well, first of all, I don't know how, like, I feel like that's a knock on my size, but no, it's, you know, a lot of the game is body position and something they call positional leverage. And if you are in the right position and have a good stick, it doesn't matter if your opponent is much bigger than you. You know, if you've got the leverage on them, you're going to win that battle. And being an undersized player my entire career, it was important to, you know, I had to learn quite early that I had to be in the right position or I was going to get out muscled on the puck. So I think that players that are undersized a lot of times, you know, have a bit of an advantage where they've got to learn from a young age how they can get that puck back, and using your body position, having a good stick, those kind of things definitely help you out.
Being a really good skater certainly helps out as well. And you're in the position for yourself and for argument's sake, Mark Garside, who's converted from a forward back to defense. And Gary's been one of our best penalty killers over the last couple of years as well.
Yeah, I think, you know, when you have somebody that skates well, it's certainly you know, a big help when you go back to play defense. And a player like Mark Garside, who's very smart and in the right place a lot of times, is well suited to be a defenseman. So not surprised to see him, you know, do well in the transition back to D.
Okay, we'll take another question now, this time from Jamie Hamilton. And this is for both, because obviously you look after the penalty kill, Mace, and Adam, you've been there for 3 seasons now. But who's the best penalty killer you've coached so far as a Giants?
I think recently it would be hard to look past the likes of a guy like Kevin Rain. Just the sheer amount of block shots and
Kevin Rain, right?
the willingness to block shots is really important from a killer, and I think that's the you know, that's one of the main things. And you know, it's hard to look past him when you ask that type of question.
Yes, what about you?
Well, I'm a little offended that Keefe didn't say me, but since Keefe did a defenseman, I'll do a forward. And last year I thought Ben Lake was very good for us at killing penalties. He was excellent on what we would call a push down, which I had showed you in that clip there. And he just battles really hard. He's good at taking away the seams. And so from a forward perspective, I would say Ben Lake was quite good.
Mace, just want to finish on our last question to yourself. You've already touched on the way the penalty kill that we like to do it as a unit or 2 different units from the Giants. But how important was it to use the likes of analytics and maybe even looking at the points that these guys are putting up on the power play when you're looking at opponents?
I think it's really important. Analytics have become such a huge part of the game, you know, and it seems like every year they come up with more and more important statistics that come out. We would, in those sheets that we would post for the team, a lot of times they would have, you know, what their players, how many power play goals they have, who they're trying to key in on, you know, so we would put a lot of numbers like that. Obviously, we want to know not only what their power play percentage is for the year, but also how they've done in the last 2-3 games. Are they really hot? Are they really cold? And you want to know that coming in. So analytics are very important. And I think every year that goes by, we'll use them more and more.
Adam, let's just pretend we didn't invite you in earlier on to do your video. Can we move over to you now and we can look at some 5-on-5 action you together?
Yeah, I think we got it ready to go. So you just let me know whenever you see my screen there, and I should be good to go.
Yeah, we've done this before, and we're just waiting for it coming through.
You can tell it's the off season.
I was just about to say it must be, the likes of Glen Gormley hasn't got Wi-Fi yet, has it? Oh,
there we go.
We're all good. We're all good. Lead us in, Adam.
You got me now?
We got you.
Yeah,
all right, good stuff. Hopefully Alexa doesn't chime in here again. But no, this is a video that we wanted to pull a little piece from a prep video from a couple seasons ago. But just in terms of preparation, the preparation for our weekend's games starts with the prior weekend's games review. So we'll watch both those games back. Whenever we're at home, very lucky that we have Steve the Pirate cutting a live game. So obviously that eliminates a lot of the work that we have to do. But again, we'll be looking for things that we can do better from the prior weekend, and then things that we did well that we can use as positive reinforcement for the players. Then the practice week will usually consist of 3 to 4 practices, depending on our schedule.
Keefe, yeah. we can't see your screen here.
Yeah, your screen's just gone again.
Should be working.
I think you need to open up that browser.
How about now?
No, not yet. As I say, folks, we are live, and there's always a few teething problems, so bear with us here. He's a hockey coach.
I'm just going to share the screen then again here. Hold on a second. I should have tried this out beforehand.
When you're putting together a video, what are you looking to identify when you're watching game tape of an opponent?
Well, we're looking to identify things that they do that obviously it jumps out at us. But let me just see here. Hold on, Simon. If this is working here, the screen should be up now. I was just talking to my brother actually, and this is going to lead into what's happening here for me. The technical difficulties here in the NHL now, every single team meeting has to be done virtually like this. So you can imagine the problems. I'd certainly be having a lot of problems with all this electronics here. But is my screen up now, and can you see the video?
No, not yet.
Have you clicked the thing on the bottom there, the share screen?
I have, yeah. We're sharing, and she's not working.
Well, we might have to jump something in and come back to it. We'll give it another shot there, see if we can get it going.
She's not working. I don't know what to do here. Maybe jump into the other video there, and then we'll see if we can get this one up and running in the meantime.
Okay, well, this is an absolute treat. I seen this last week for the first time. Adam and had Neil Whiteside put this together. It's one of those brilliant Neil Whiteside videos that all the Belfast Giants fans have seen over the last number of years. And hopefully we can get this up for you straight away, because believe you me, this will give you goosebumps. Let's have a look at it.
Champion. 3 minutes to the biggest battle of our professional lives. All comes down to today. Either we heal as a team, or we're gonna crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now. And we can stay here, get the kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. The margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's gonna win that inch. And I know if I'm gonna have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. The 6 inches in front of your face. Now I can't make you do it. You gotta look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now I think you're gonna see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're gonna see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're gonna do the same for him. Right? That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals.
Now, I don't know about everybody else who was watching that at home, but that's the 3rd time I've watched that now, and I'm still got the hairs on my neck and my arms all popping up. Adam, that was put together by Neil Whiteside, and obviously yourself, a bit of, putting things together for it. And we showed that before the worst road trip that most Giants fans have ever been on, and a sense of having to get to a game with the snow back in 2018 against the Cardiff Devils in Cardiff in the Challenge Cup final. When did you show it? And did you get the feeling that it actually did hit home before the boys left the dressing room?
Yeah, I think it's a great speech. Number one is one that it's always gotten me going. So it was one that I knew that I wanted to use for that video. But it was just an extra added little bit of motivation, a little bit of excitement going into that game. Not that we needed any motivation going into a one-off finals game against the Cardiff Devils, but you could see there how it started. The video starts with the Cardiff Devils winning a trophy, and to me, I wanted to symbolize, Cardiff's had their time and it's our time now, and so that was the point of the video. And I knew it would provide us a little bit more jump to start the game. And we played that video literally probably 5 minutes before the players exited the dressing room to go on the ice. So Jeff was a player, if my memory serves me correct, in that game. So he could probably better answer how it felt exactly just before you're heading on to the match.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a player's perspective, sitting in that room, it's obviously very impactful. It's impactful when you're sitting here and at home watching it. I think what it did was like it says at the end, believe. It gave us that little extra belief that we could do it. And in sports, the belief that you can do something is probably one of the most important things. Looking back on that team, we felt as a team in that locker room that we could beat anyone in a one-off game. I know we had some ups and downs throughout the year, and consistency probably wasn't one of our best qualities, but we certainly felt in a one-off game that we could beat anyone. And going in there, I remember, following all the fans' travels and, crazy stories of what they were doing to get there. To see our little section in the corner packed out with screaming fans and, in a full, whatever they call that place now. I don't know. It's had a few different names. It was definitely special. And the way the team played from the drop of the puck was certainly, reflective of how we felt coming out after that video.
The Devils take the lead in the first period. And this is, again, I hope this is right. They took the lead in the first period. And then Benny went coast to coast, scored that goal from probably 70, 75 feet. And you could just see, I remember looking over at the bench. We were the complete opposite side of the rink, but I remember looking over at the bench and everybody was up and at it, and they just seemed to give you a massive, massive lift going into that as well. And Benny, for a guy who'd been at Belfast for a long time, and he went away and took a couple of years off somewhere else, but it just goes to show things like that meaning an awful lot to him and other players who were coming towards the end of their career. Adam.
Yeah, that goal was massive, and I think we didn't let him live it down either. It was coast to coast and a very big goal for us. But what that game in particular, maybe it was because it was my first year as a coach, I'm not sure, but it was the most rewarding game I felt behind the bench. And what I mean by that is I think that for years prior, like I said, Cardiff was kind of on top, and we weren't able to get the job done. And I think, we had this one chance finally for a one-off game against them in their own building. And I was confident from the drop of the puck when I seen the players play. And, when they come out, usually as a coach, you can kind of feel how the game is going to go from the start, at least in terms of how we play, maybe not the result, but I could tell from the start that we were ready to go. And, throughout that game, when we did take the lead, we were not giving it up. And it was, like I said, one of the most rewarding games to stand behind the bench and watch the players get rewarded for their efforts.
Jonathan Furlan scored a couple of goals, one goal from an amazing angle. He got the empty netter. Toy got the winner. And being in the rink as an away team, being outnumbered 10-1, and on the bench, and obviously when the glass is there, you don't really, sometimes you don't really get the gist of the crowd and the atmosphere that's in the building. But I think I'm fair in saying that night especially, you could hear those, I think it was 350 Belfast Giants fans down to your left, and obviously Mace, you would have heard them when they were on the ice as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely we could hear. And fortunately for us, we did a pretty good job of quieting the Cardiff fans. So it was even easier to hear the 350 down in the corner because they were the only ones making noise. And it was, it's definitely a great memory of mine looking back on, my career as a Giant. And, to Adam's point, we had won 2 previous championships as players, Adam and I, but they weren't like a winner take all one game. You either win the trophy or you don't game. And so for me, it was really special that game because you had everything to play for. And we showed up and certainly every player on that team contributed and walked away with the trophy.
Adam, let's go to you and see if we can put this video together. Third time lucky.
Let's hope this video is worth it after all these struggles. But I think I finally have gotten it figured out. It's safe to say I could not coach in the NHL this year if every meeting is virtual. That's for sure. But I hope that this is. Let me know if you've got my screen.
We've got your screen. That's all good.
You've got it. There we go. Everybody give me a clap at home for me. So again, just like Mace was saying there, we want to talk a little bit about our preparation. So with our preparation here, it starts with the weekend's games, the weekend prior, so we want to review both games, a video there. And again, as I was saying, you didn't see it on my screen, but the home games, we're lucky enough to have Steve, the Pirate Key, cut our games live. So it's a little bit easier for us to skim through and review those games. What we're looking for is some mistakes that we can correct for the next weekend, or for some positive reinforcement. So some things we did well that we can show the players to make sure we keep doing those things. And then we'll lead into our practice week, where we'll have 3 to 4 practices depending on the schedule. And then again, depending on what we pull from the weekend prior for video, how many clips we get out of that, there'll be 1 to 2 video sessions throughout that week. That leads us into game day. On game days, mainly they're an optional skate, depending on the schedule again, but the players will arrive at the arena around 9:30 a.m. About 10 o'clock, we'll have the 5-on-5 prep video, which is what I'm going to show here, a little piece of that. We're not going to show you the whole thing, but just a little piece of it. And then some of the players will go for a skate, some will get stretched out, but mainly it's to flip the switch and get focused for that game, because obviously it's been a long practice week, but now we want to turn on the game faces and be ready to go. From there, the players will go home, they'll have their pregame meal, and then they'll have a pregame nap, at least most of the players will. And then they'll come back to the rink around 4:30 to 5 o'clock. They have to be at the arena for 5 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game. They have to be there 2 hours prior to the game. That's one of the team rules. Around 5:10, 5:15, that's when we'll have our special teams prep video, which May shared with you on the penalty kill there earlier. And the prep notes will be hanging around the dressing room, so some last-minute reminders for the players to read and to familiarize themselves with who we're playing against. This right here is a Cardiff Devils roster sheet, as I like to call it. This will be hanging in the dressing room. And again, especially at the start of the season, when we're not quite familiar with the new players that the team may have brought in, it's very important for the team to know who they're playing against, maybe what their history is. So what I have on here is their height, their weight, their age, where they played last year, their stats from last year, and then their current stats this year, and then a little write-up on them underneath it. We generally do that, and I try to give the players the lineup from the previous game, so it's as fresh as it can be. Next, we have the Cardiff Devils prep sheet, and again, we give them the lineup from the previous game, just so they know what the lines potentially may be. We'll go through that, and then the Cardiff special teams, which will be their penalty kill, their power play, and a little write-up, a little reminder on each of the things that we would have went through on video. And then we have Cardiff's 5-on-5 tendencies, which would be anything from face-offs to forechecks to anything that we really pick up on video or things that they do well. And then at the bottom, it has the keys to the game, which is more a focus on what we want to do well. And just again, a quick reminder to the players, this is how we want to play, and especially on that given night.
Adam, when you're cutting tape, when you're looking at games that are the opponents that are upcoming, how much time are you spending on that?
On the review tape of a game of our own, takes roughly around 4 hours to properly review a game of our own, because we're really are stopping and rewinding pretty much every play that we feel that something significant happened. The games that we're watching, so the game I'm going to show you, or one of the games I'll show you, is a Cardiff versus Nottingham game. So that would be a game that I'm pre-scouting for a trip to Cardiff or something like that. Those games generally take a little bit less, because I'm maybe fast forwarding to areas that I want to watch, or I'm skipping through to find the exact scenario that I want to find. So those games will take a few hours, but maybe not 4 hours.
Okay.
So this is the Cardiff Devils prep video that I've taken a piece out of to show you guys. and it's on their defensive zone coverage. Short form for that, obviously DZC. You might see that throughout this presentation here. I just wanted to make it clear that DZC means defensive zone coverage. So Cardiff's D-zone coverage, or chosen D-zone coverage, is swarm, and some coaches have different names for it, and potentially Cardiff's does, but we also play a swarm D-zone coverage. Nottingham plays a swarm D-zone coverage, and sort of Sheffield. Roughly what it means is it's a more aggressive attack in your own zone. There's usually 5 guys low and in the picture. You're going to see that throughout these diagrams and some of the videos that we have for you here. Here we have a traditional D-zone coverage on the left-hand side here. You can kind of see here. The guys in the red here would be Cardiff Devil players, and then the teal guys would obviously be us. So the difference with the traditional D-zone coverage would be this defenseman here generally does not leave the front of the net. He's there as a safety valve in case one of these 2 players here in the corner, wherever the puck battle is, if one of them gets beat out of the corner, there's a defenseman at the net that's ready to be a second layer of defense there. The right winger is usually in the slot here, and the left winger is higher up, closer to his defenseman here. All right, so this right winger's his role would be to have a stick in this lane so they can't make a nice quick play to this guy for a quick shot, but also be aware of his defenseman here. Left winger's got his defenseman, and again, this guy here is a second layer of defense in case one of these guys gets beat out of the corner. If that puck switched side here, what would happen with this defenseman would now come into the corner. Potentially this centerman or the defenseman, whoever's closest, would come over and join that. Again, there would be another battle in the corner here, and one of these guys would come back here and protect the slot here. This guy would shift over, and he would shift into the slot. So that's a traditional D-zone coverage. Now what I'm going to show you is what we identified that Cardiff does, and we also do it, but the main difference here would be this defenseman here that I showed you in the traditional D-zone coverage. Once there's a hit and a pin in the battle in the corner, he will join the pile to create an odd man outnumber here in the corner. So now basically they have us outnumbered 3 versus 2. They should be able to take that puck and exit the zone quicker. What happens once that defenseman slides into this pile is this right winger here, he now drops down to be that layer of defense at the net. It has its benefits and its risks. The benefits are it's an aggressive attack in the D-zone coverage, which means you can shut down the opposing team's play quicker and get out of your zone faster, which is obviously nice. Now, the risk of it is if you do lose this 2 versus 3 puck battle in the corner and he rolls out, this guy here is left to cover the puck carrier coming out of the net, but he's also covering his defenseman. So it's a 2-on-1 at the net, which is obviously pretty risky. So you do run the risk of that, which is the importance of these 2 players here, pinning these players and not allowing them to win that puck battle out of the corner. So that's very important. Now, what we're going to show you on video is how we are going to play against a swarm. So what we would have is what you can see here in the traditional D-zone coverage, you have these 3 players high here, right? Now, if you slide your eyes over to the right-hand screen, once they do slide into a swarm situation, this player here would now come up and get nice and tight on top of that 3rd man into the pile. This defenseman would skate up on an angle and get a stick length away from that guy, and this guy would slide up and get a stick length away from him. Basically, we call that a shrink, and that's how we would manage the swarm against us. Okay, so I'm going to just get out of here, and we'll show you a quick clip from the NHL on the swarm, which kind of breaks it down. You can see here, Dallas is the white team. They have a hit and a pin right now, which should bring Dallas's 3rd man into the pile. So now Dallas's 3rd man into the pile comes and he hits and he pins, and it allows them to outnumber and get the puck really quick and exit the zone fast. And that's, obviously a great way not to play in your D zone. Here's another example of it. There's another hit and a pin. There's the pin. You can see number 10 comes down, communicates to number 2. Number 2 joins the pile. Now we have a 3-on-2 in the corner here. They're going to win that puck battle and exit the zone. So this is what a swarm looks like in real time. Again, you can see Dallas exits the zone pretty quick. Now we're switching over to Cardiff versus Nottingham, which is one of the games we would have watched when we were pre-prepping for the Cardiff Devils. I'll let this one play out a little bit here. Here you can see the 5 versus 2, right? So again, there's one player gets hit and pinned. Cardiff's second and third players come into the pile. They win the puck battle, and they're going to exit the zone quick now because they've outnumbered Nottingham 5 versus 2, right? So now they end up exiting the zone quick. So when we play against these guys, we want to stop that as much as possible. And the way that we're going to manage that swarm is we're going to shrink down on top of the swarm whenever they get into that swarm situation. I pulled this clip here. It's a clip of Nottingham swarming against us. There's a reason why I clipped this, and I wanted to show you, and it's just because, as you can see, Coach Mason is in great position here, closing on his winger. But again, what I just showed you on how we manage the swarm is we're going to shrink down on top of it. So Nottingham has their 3 guys in the corner, and we throw our 3rd guy down on top of them. So now we have a 3-on-3 in the corner, and I think this is John Kurtz, if I'm not mistaken. He's on the defensive side of this number 21 in the corner, so that means he can't get beat out of that pile. Our defensemen are a stick length away from their wingers, which means if Nottingham gets this puck and wins this battle, they have nowhere to make a pass to get out of the zone, right? As if you've seen in the Dallas clip, their D-men weren't up on top of their wingers, which allowed them to exit the zone quick. So right now, if we lose this puck battle, they should have nowhere to go with it. I think we end up slamming or throwing it back to our defensemen anyways. But just changing frames here to Cardiff's swarm. The hit and the pin initiates the swarm. So you're going to see their second their defenseman come into the pile here. He waits for Bobby Farnham to get in the pile, and he's pushing him to get a hit and a pin. There's their 3rd man. Their 3rd man is in. So right now they have a 3 versus 2 outnumbered situation in the corner. Kevin Rain has stepped up on the winger, which is great. That's good positioning. He's right on top of that guy. He is now, I think that's Blair Riley. So it's a good thing he's up on him. And we should have our defenseman up on top of the other winger there. We're missing our 3rd man into the pile, which is allowing Cardiff to outnumber us. And that's because he's changing right now. He's a little bit late into the screen, but you'll see here in a second. The puck squirts free here. Kevin Rain's in a great position here. The puck is here. He's got a stick-on puck. It allows that player right there, Blair Riley, not to go anywhere. He has nowhere to go with that puck. And here comes our 3rd man from the bench to help. Again, he's a little bit late, but he does get there in time. If you look over to the right of the screen, I believe that's Patrick Mullen, who has now stepped up, and he's a stick length away from his winger. So we're in a great spot here. And now what happens is Cardiff can't get the puck out, even though they won the puck battle. They can't get the puck out, and a little bit of chaos ensues in the corner. And because of this chaos, Cardiff is now out of position a little bit, and we win the puck battle. And now once we win this puck battle, because of that chaos in the corner, Cardiff is now kind of scrambling back towards their net front. And because of that, they lose coverage. And it allows Brian Ward to be all alone in the slot here, which is a dangerous spot to leave anybody alone. And if you see here, Kevin Rain retreats to a defensive position back to the blue line because he recognizes that we now have the puck. So now we spread back out and we get back into our regular posture and open up space for ourselves to go on offense. I'll let this play out here. It ends up well for us. And this is the reason why we do video, because it allows us to, at the time when the swarm does happen, now our players know that we need to shrink down on top of them. Goody thought that was a no goal. But thankfully for us, we were awarded the goal. And it was a big goal for us in that game. I remember it in particular. Another example of a swarm here. Lewis Hook drives the puck nice and deep. The hit and the pin here initiates the swarm. So number 3 will now leave the net front and join the 2-on-2 battle to essentially outnumber us 3 versus 2. Now, I think this is Mark Garside here. He's going to now leave his position, which is a 3rd man high, and join that battle on the defensive side of number 3. Our 2 defensemen should now gap up and get on top of their wingers. Their wingers will slide down to try to seal off the down low play. So here we have a battle in the corner. You can see Mark Garside is staying on the defensive side of it, and he's being aware of where it is. But the Cardiff Devils forwards, you can see the wingers here are now moving out of the zone and trying to create some confusion with our defensemen. But our defensemen are smarter than that, and they stick with their guys. So now we have a great shrink down on Cardiff's D-zone coverage swarm. Our D-men are a stick length away from their wingers. Garside is on a defensive side of his man, and he's tight to him so that if that puck is won by Cardiff, he's right there on top of the guy. They have nowhere to go with it. I'll let this one play out here. I believe Cardiff does win the puck battle here, but because we're nice and tight on them, they make a pass to their winger. We're right on top of him. The guy has nowhere to go, and we turn the puck over and we go back on offense and get a shot on net. And that's really what we're looking to do with this. We don't want to allow them any time and space to play. So that was how we...
Before you move on to your next one, I just wanted to throw something in there for you. A lot of fans love to see the free-flowing play coming through centre ice and beating 1 or 2 defensemen, getting a goal. But a lot of the play at this level is done along the boards. You winning your puck battles, winning your one-on-one battles in the corner is absolutely vital, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, this is the reason why I wanted to show this video clip in particular. It's something I feel strongly about when we play against it, and obviously we play with the Swarm as well, so I should be fairly knowledgeable about it. But a lot of the times when you're looking at those battles in the corner, you can kind of think it's just organized or unorganized chaos, but there is a reason for it, and there is something going on there. And I like to think of that because, this past Sunday I watched the Ireland rugby play, and it looks like chaos to me sometimes, but I'm sure that there is a lot of, situations out there that they've practiced time and time again, and they've watched it on video. So this is just a little bit of inside info into what that chaos really is. And, that's kind of what we're showing right now. So that was how we would manage a swarm, but we don't really want to get in that situation because we're stalled and we're in puck battles, and it doesn't really allow for a whole lot of creativity. And frankly, it's not very fun to watch either for the fans, little puck battles like that in the corner. So we want to have possession in their zone, and we don't want to allow them to swarm. So how are we going to prevent it? We want to spread their defensive zone coverage out so that they can't hit and pin and initiate that swarm. This is a clip from Nottingham Cardiff again that we pulled on how to beat Cardiff Swarm. So you have number 92 here he drove the puck nice and deep into their zone, and this is the drive deep line that I've put here at the top of the screen. You're really at the hash marks or the top of the dot. The reason why we want players and we tell players to get the puck deep below that line is if you turn the puck over above that line, Cardiff's players are skating back into their zone with full speed. And if you turn that puck over, they can now transition on that puck and go back against us at full speed, and that's very dangerous. If we get the puck nice and deep here, Cardiff's players that were skating back into their zone now have to stop into their D-zone coverage spots, which kills all transition speed. So it's imperative that we get the puck nice and deep. Now you can see number 92 is he's done his job by driving the puck deep, but if he continues to skate with this puck and allows number 3 to hit and pin him, Cardiff will then initiate the swarm and outnumber them 3-on-2 in the corner and could kill the play and go out the other way. Again, something we want to avoid. So how do we avoid that? We're going to switch sides with the puck where there should be a lot more open space on the other side, because as you can see, there's 3 Cardiff Devils here, and there's probably a 4th one. I can see a stick right in front of the net. So we want to switch sides with it and open up space as much as possible. Here, just an example of the Nottingham Panthers They switch sides with it. Again, they get the puck moving. They get Cardiff players trying to sort themselves out, but they don't really allow the hit and pin, so they can't get into a swarm situation, which allows Nottingham to play with the puck. And you can see here, Cardiff's players are kind of spread out, and they're more worried about their individual players. So they're actually in a traditional D-zone coverage right now. They're not allowed to get into the swarm, which allows Nottingham to make a couple plays and get a shot on net, which obviously usually ends up in scoring chances. Another example here of Nottingham's player, he drives a puck nice and deep. Again, he drives that puck below the drive puck deep line, which is right here. I told you about why before that. So now he has a choice to make. He either continues on into the corner and allows these 1, 2, and 3 Cardiff Devil players to hit, pin, and swarm him and take the puck and go the other way, which is obviously not what they want to do. Or he can switch sides with it to all this open space over here. He makes the right choice, switches sides with it. And now you have Cardiff running around a little bit, trying to gain their coverage. But again, they're spread out in the traditional D-zone coverage, which looks like this. And because of that, they can't get into their hit and pin and swarm situation, which allows Nottingham some time and space to make some plays. And ultimately, they end up with a scoring chance here. All right, that's the end of that. Thankfully, it worked, and hopefully it was worth the wait.
Yeah, great job, Adam. Great job. Again, we talk about all these different things and watching the play and the importance of making, you're talking about D-zone coverage, especially since you've transitioned from a player to a coach and obviously done more coaching clinics and what have you. What have you learned, especially from a defensive side of things, for us being a coach, and obviously Mace can pick up on that as well?
Well, I think the game has turned a little bit more aggressive in the D zone, as you see with these swarm situations. Like, I think 10 years ago, at least, I had never heard of it. In fact, the first time I had heard of a swarm defensive zone coverage was when Derek Walser came on board. And, he was the first one to really teach it to me. But since then, I've seen it, gone throughout the NHL. So you can see a lot more aggressive approach to the D-zone coverage to try to break up the play as soon as possible and get back on offense. Really, that's what I'm seeing, more of a trend towards an aggressive style attack in the D-zone coverage.
Mace, you've been on the bench, as I say, for the last couple of seasons now, and Stewie, who couldn't join us tonight, unfortunately, Stewie is vital in that aspect as well, especially since he's been there from day one. And what he's learned over the summer, he's a very quiet man, he seems a very quiet man when he's on the bench and stuff. But, I'm sure that both of you, you can bounce an awful lot of ideas off him, and he's there for a lot of support too.
Yeah, no, for sure. Stewie's extremely knowledgeable. He's been around the game a long time. He's been around Belfast for a long time. Has a lot of really good insight into the defensive side of the game. And I think, to touch on Adam's point there, where he was talking about teams are being more aggressive, I think players, it seems like every year get more skilled. Like when Adam and I were young kids, like nobody could do the things with the puck that they're doing now. Like I certainly couldn't do the things that Max is out doing with the puck, or kids at the Junior Giants. And there's so much skill in the game now that if you just sit back and play very passive, players are going to pick you apart. And I think that's why you see a very concerted effort to be more aggressive, to try to dictate to the offensive team what you want them to do, rather than just sit back and let them do whatever they want. So I think that's one of the things that I've seen now more as you watch more and kind of study as a coach. But being more aggressive is certainly something that we try to do. And I think you see that as like a trend throughout the wider game. Okay, right. Leading in towards the next 10, 15 minutes, we're going to start taking some questions from the fans that are watching at the minute. Now, I know I've seen the questions coming through, guys, and I know that there's a few questions coming through regarding funding and recruitment for potentially next season, funding for the way situations are at the minute.
we do plan to address that. We are going to do that, but we want to get Steve Thornton on board as well. So we're going to do another StreamYard, something along the lines of what we're doing here in the next few weeks, or maybe 3 weeks' time, and we'll get that addressed. So bear with us with regards to recruitment, because to be honest, right now, there's nothing happening. So we'll keep that for another show. But if you have any questions, bring them along, fire them into us right now, send it on the comment section, and we'll get those picked up as we go along over the next 15, 20 minutes. So let's start taking some of your questions, and I will get them onto the screen. We'll give you a wee bit of a shout out as well. And actually, do you know what? Just before we give you a shout out, we know young Sam is sitting in hospital at the minute. 4 years of age, Adam. He's 4 today, isn't he?
Yeah, it's his 4th birthday today, Samuel Boys, and he's sitting in the hospital watching from there. So, Sam, get well, and we hope to see you back at the SSC as soon as we're able to get back on the ice. All right, buddy? Take care. And to everybody out there, anybody who's going through a tough time right now, we can't wait to get you back to the arena. And obviously, some good times we're all missing out on. So we're looking forward to seeing you all back at the arena. Okay,
let's see if we can get some questions up here. There's one there from Andrew McVeigh. You've talked about offense and defense. Who works for the goaltenders? Do you have to scout the opposition players for certain shooting tendencies? Adam, we'll go to you on that one, because I know there's some of the guys off the ice who are looking at game tape and watching the tendencies for the shooting side of things, and they pass that information on to you.
One of the things you asked me there is, what are we looking? Well, kind of when I was trying to figure out my video, there's what are we looking for when we're watching video? And if we see a tendency that tends to happen quite a bit throughout that game, if it's, let's say it's a player. So, for example, on Mace's video there, he was showing Brendan Connolly's tendencies, what he does around that goal line. Those are vitally important for goaltenders to understand. Whenever there's plays around that net that the goaltender can anticipate, that's only going to help the goaltender. So throughout video, it's stuff like that. Shootouts, especially later in the season, once we've seen multiple shootout attempts from different players, those are things we like to show the goaltenders. But in terms of on ice, obviously we weren't goaltenders. But we know specific things to look for throughout practice and help the goaltenders work on things throughout practice. But also, the goaltenders are well up to speed on what they need to be working on. And sometimes, it's just about asking them what they need and what type of drills they may need that day or to get prepared to play. And so it's a little bit of, I guess, by committee what we do for the goaltenders.
Okay, thanks, Andrew. We'll get another question popped up on the screen. There's one from Michael Hoy, and perfect one for you, Mace. How much of the team's PP and PK success is coaching? How much is the players? For example, if a team has the same coach each season, would you expect their stats to be similar?
I think inevitably it comes down to personnel. So your players on the ice are ultimately going to reflect how much success you have. I think coaching and how well your penalty kill is structured and what you're trying to do, how well you're prepared for what the other team is trying to do, that all adds to your competitive advantage. And I think that it is a vital part of it, the coaching and the preparation and the structure. But you also, the personnel on the ice, inevitably there's a lot of decisions that have to be made that are instinctual, that are reactive. As we said, we don't want them to be robots. So they have, I would say the most impact on what it is. And one of the things in doing pre-scouts and analytics, and I've listened to a lot of guys talk about this, and they say, if you're looking at like Washington, they've had a great power play, or Edmonton, they've had a great power play, and they try to break it down what's the success from? Is their structure that good? Are they running what everyone else is running, and they just have world-class players that make world-class plays? So, I think when it boils down to it's the players, but as a coach, you're trying to give a competitive advantage. And I think a lot of what we try to do, has certainly helped our guys be successful and why our power play or our penalty kill has been successful. But ultimately, to me, it's the players on the ice.
Adam, just to jump on top of that one, he's talking about Washington. How do you stop Ovechkin?
Let's just sit the player right on top of him and play 4 versus 3 and take our chances, I suppose. I hate to be in our system, it would be the weak side defenseman, but I would hate to be him who has to go out in front and block that shot coming from that guy. So
that'll be you, Mace. Apparently you're putting the skates back on next year.
Yeah, not in that situation for sure.
Okay, let's get another question. Here's one from Dennis Wilson Shane. I've never been very good at popping names in there. So Dennis, thanks very much. Adam, in your early days as coach, and even now, how much have you been able to bounce questions off your brother, drawing from his experience in the AHL and obviously now the NHL with the Leafs?
Especially early days. I think he was probably the first call I made when I got this job, when they kicked me off the ice and put me behind the bench. Certainly, I went to him for a basic structure and some pointers on basically what I need to do, right? Because like I said before, as a player, you really are focused on your job in particular and what you need to do to help the team win. You're not really focused on the entirety of the team. And so I think for that, he was huge in my first year to kind of set me up with a structure. And from there, I had to learn by making mistakes and seeing what worked for our team. And then obviously now here we are 4 years down the road. Obviously didn't get the coach this year, but he's been in a year like this. He's been a huge help for me to just keep my head in the game and to keep on learning. He's been kindly allowed me to be on the coaches' calls for the Maple Leafs for the last for them leading up to their playoffs, and then again here leading up to this season. So again, it's just really educational for me to sit there and listen to NHL coaches speak about their systems and debate certain things. And so he's been a huge help to me. In season, I understand how stressed out he is and how stressful coaching can be. So I try not to bother him too much, and unless there's something really has gone astray and I really need some help. But again, I got Jeff Mason and I've got Rob Stewart to bounce things off and Steve Thornton. So there's not a time when we're not debating what we should be doing on the ice or what we can do to kind of help this team get better. And I think that having those heads to bounce things off and discuss and debate certain topics with it has helped me a lot as well.
Okay, let's get another question. Angela Turkington, if you had to pick one, what would be your favorite game, both as coach and player? So let's go to Mace first of all.
My favorite game as a coach, it'd be a tough one, but obviously there's not a ton to choose from. But I think that that Champions Hockey League game against Liberec at home was. I remember, going home afterwards, and I said to Hammy the next day in the locker room, I was like, man, I couldn't sleep last night. I didn't even play. Like it was, I went home, my heart was pumping. And as a player, obviously the Challenge Cup game was really special. But I think probably the game where we beat back in 2012, where we beat Sheffield in the opener to win the trophy that year, after having such a great year collectively as a team, and the SSE was packed, and it was, I would say that probably that game was quite special.
Keefe?
Yeah, I'll do both as a player and a coach because they are different. As a player, I have to jump on Mace's back there and say the same game there. That Sheffield first of the doubleheader that I think was the day before St. Patrick's Day in my first year with the Giants. But that was the one that sealed the deal for us for the league championship. So I guess in a way that was a do or die for us, in a sense of we knew that if we had lost both those games, that it was a good chance that Sheffield was going to win that league. So we wanted to get that one out of the way. And you could tell, again, like I said, there's certain times when your team is showing up and you guys are going to play great. And in that game, I think we beat them 5-1. The building was sold out. It was a great atmosphere, and you knew that we weren't going to be denied that win. And ultimately, we weren't, and we won the league trophy. I think they came back and won. We won the next night as well, even though we didn't need to. As a coach, there's a couple different ones, but definitely that first Challenge Cup win was pretty special. Not just for all the reasons I mentioned before, but as a player, you guys, especially the fans that have been around for a while, and yourself, Simon, and Jeff, we always struggled to get that Challenge Cup win, and we blew so many leads in those early days when there was an aggregate score. I think we were up 4-1 going into Nottingham for that final game, and end up losing that game in a shootout. And there's a couple other ones that we just lost, just didn't perform in those finals. And to finally get that Challenge Cup was pretty special.
Next question, please. Let's have a wee look. Travis McQuaid. When scouting players, do you look for defensive traits, or is it teaching a player to have that trait for the power play? Adam, let's go for you on that one.
When scouting a player, it depends. We're looking at all aspects of their game, but there are certain roles for certain players. So if it's a defensive player, we are looking at how well he plays defensively. I'm not sure exactly how you're relaying it towards the power play, but if that person is an offensive player and they're a power play guy that we're expecting to play on the power play, we will scout that. We'll scout their power play, and let's find out where they play on the power play. Are they capable of making plays? Do they have a big shot? What type of plays do they make under pressure? Those types of things. So it's a tough question to answer, because each player may serve a role for our team, and depending on the role we're looking to fill, that's what we will be scouting. We'll be scouting those types of players.
Let's take a few more. We're getting just over an hour and 20 minutes now. Jamie Hamilton, how much more time goes into prepping for a team near the top of the standings compared to the bottom? Mace, maybe you can pick up on that one.
There's really not a whole lot of difference, especially in our league. If it's a team at the top or a team at the bottom, you need those points the same. Almost, I guess, if you look at it, if you drop points to teams at the bottom, those are points you might not be able to get back. You expect that when you play the top teams, that you're going to take points off each other. So there's not a whole lot of difference. It would more be probably, the familiarity, like how recently you had played them. If you haven't seen a team in a while, it could take a while to see what they're doing, because lots of things change over time. If you've played a team a lot recently and you really are comfortable with what they're doing, you might not have to do as much preparation going into that game, because everything's familiar to you, So I think it's more, it's more how much of a familiarity you have with the team, depending on when you played them recently. But in our league now, any team can beat anyone on any given night. So you're certainly not taking teams lightly or preparing less for some teams rather than others.
I seen, I can't remember who it was posted the name or the comment, but so apologies about this. But do you prefer to do a double header away, or do you prefer to pick up two different teams on an away trip, Adam?
The double headers are that's a great question. I would prefer to have double headers, because it's the preparations for one team. That it is difficult when you're preparing to play Cardiff on a Saturday and then on Sunday you're in Sheffield, because you do want to watch the teams most recent game, which means you do got to wait until basically the night of if you want to watch the most recent game. So if it's a weekend like that where we're playing Cardiff Sheffield, we'll prep for Cardiff all week. We were prepping for the first game, maybe have a little bit of prep done for the Sheffield game, but I want to watch that most recent Sheffield game. So we'll wait and watch it that night. So that's what would happen on that type of night. On a doubleheader, you've already done the prep work. Your team's already prepared for, if it's a Cardiff, we're prepared for that team. It also allows us to make adjustments on day 2. And we'll also have to be aware that they're also going to make adjustments if it didn't go their way. So it does bring the coaching side of it into it a little bit more when it's a doubleheader or when it's a series, which makes the NHL that much more exciting this year because of how many times they're playing each other. And certainly when you get into a best-of-7 series like they do in the NHL and for playoffs, it makes it really interesting when you're preparing to play a team every second night and it's the same team.
You were touching on away trips there, and from you remember you telling me about Nigel. He did a bit of your job last year and given a couple of pre-game speeches.
Yeah, Big Nige, our bus driver. He got us to plenty of long trips, safe and sound to Scotland. But little did we know, we asked him to do the lineup one night in Fife, and he came well prepared with a great speech and just got the boys fired up and ready to go. And I believe we were pretty much on a little bit of a lull there as well. And we came out and won that game, had a great game, and the guys loved it. So we continued that throughout the majority of the road games that he got us to the arena. So shout out to Big Nige and his wife Fiona, super strong lady. Is cancer-free now, so just grateful to have you guys on board watching us tonight, and looking forward to get back on the road with you soon, Big Nige.
Yeah, I hope you're keeping well, Nigel. Let's take a couple more before we finish up. Mace, can you describe how it feels when you're at the side of the rink pre-game? Obviously, the adrenaline's starting to pump, and maybe not as a player anymore, but do you still get that as a coach?
Yeah, you certainly do. I think that when the game's on and you're standing there, you definitely get the adrenaline and you feel it. I think pregame. It's funny if you came into the office, pregame. Once the videos are shown and the things are posted and we've talked to guys, you kind of mull about a little bit, but it's a real kind of like downtime for coaches where we've done everything we can and now you just have to wait for the game to start. So sitting around the room can feel like it could take forever. But I mean, being out there and that close to the game, obviously it's not the same as playing, and you don't get that same adrenaline rush, but it's as close as you can come to doing it. So it's certainly quite the thrill.
Let's take, we've got 2 more questions, but we'll take this one from Laura. What's the best piece of coaching advice you have learned now that you wish you had have known as a player? Do you know what? We'll go to Adam first, and then we'll come to you, Mace, on that, because that's a really good question.
The best coaching advice that I've gotten, and it would be the number one advice I would give a young coach starting out, is never get too high with the highs and too low with the lows, because it's a roller coaster of a year. 2 years, or it would have been 2 or 3 years ago now, I guess we would have won the league there on the last day of the season. Is it 2 or 3 years? I don't even know now because of this COVID.
Well, technically now it's a 3-peat, because we won it in 18-19, and it's just we've kept it. So that's the way it works. 19-20, that's the way it works.
We'll take a 3-peat, but that advice of not getting too high with the highs and too low with the lows is very real, especially in the coaching world. So as a player, a tough loss, you're going to feel it that night, and you're going to feel really frustrated and mad and go home and maybe be angry and, think about the game for a couple hours. But generally, when you get back to the rink, you're being a player again. You're focused on yourself and you want to get better yourself. So, but as a coach, that low can last the entire week, and I'm sure my wife can attest to that. That a lot of the times I'm not very pleasant to be around after a tough weekend. So it's I'm still trying to adapt to that. Where if we have a tough weekend, not to allow that to affect me for the whole week or even a couple of days. You need to get right back on it and turn it into a positive. And again, on the flip side of that, if things are going real well for you and you haven't faced much adversity, don't get too used to it and don't take it for granted, because things can flip in a hurry. That's the I guess the greatness of the game and how much momentum can switch in the season. And I think that season in particular, there was a lot of lows in that season as well. And I have to keep reminding myself, it ended up as a great season, but we went through a lot of tough times throughout that year, a lot of inconsistencies. So that's a great reminder to myself going forward.
Yes.
I think, and it's almost identical to what Adam said there, but it is to focus on the process. I think if like Adam said, there's so many highs and lows and so many things that are going on. If you focus on the process of what it is that your team's trying to do, and what you have to do to get them prepared and get them ready, those are things that you can control. Outcomes of games you can't control. And as they say, control the controllables. I think it's something that Adam speaks about and we try to do, and we want the team to focus on the process, and we've got a list of things of what that is. And the same thing for coaches. You got to focus on the process and focus on what's the next right thing that you have to do, as opposed to kind of living in the past of either riding high because things are going well and not putting in all the work that you have to, or you'd be being really down in the dumps from a run of results that haven't gone your way. So just kind of focus on the process and stay the course.
Okay. Well, I've got one last question here. Not sure if it's going to own us. There you go. It's popping up on the screen. It's from Alan Brett. And again, this is going to be for both of you. Do you know if the SSC is planning to make any structural reinforcements to protect the arena roof from the atmosphere when we all get back? And, we can all think back to that game, the Continental Cup final against Ireland. And again, I don't know if Robert Fitzpatrick has had anybody look at that roof, because that was the loudest. In 20 years, that's the loudest I've ever heard that building.
Yeah, that game was one of the most special ones for me as well. One of the most memorable ones. Even though we lost that game, that comeback was pretty special. And I remember when Dustin Johnner scored that tying goal, really like not being able to hear myself think there, and I almost considered calling a timeout myself, but unluckily their team called a timeout and tried to settle their team down. So that's how loud it was in the building at that time. And game number 1 back in the arena is going to be so special that I hope that we can one up that time and make it even louder, and hopefully we're able to have a full capacity building, and the strength of this COVID pandemic is behind us.
Yes, same as question to you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, for years we've been talking about wanting to have an outdoor game like the NHL Winter Classic in Belfast. So I say have at it and try to blow the roof off, and we'll have our own NHL outdoor game out here.
In fairness, you could probably do it on the Lagan if the weather's getting any worse than what it has. I've seen a few friends that have been living in Edinburgh and Scotland, and they're frozen over there as well. It looks incredible. Like, is either of you two ever played on an official game on outdoors?
No, I think those started happening. Those games started happening over in North America, I think, after we had come across overseas here. I don't know if I've heard of one overseas here, or maybe one in Europe, but not yet in the EIHL.
You guys are taking it quite literally. I meant just blow the roof off, so with the noise, and we'd be playing outside.
It's not a bad idea, actually. Maybe we'll lift that off. Couple of things before we finish. I know that we've had a lot of emails coming in for the official supporters club, and I know a lot of the season ticket holders are members of that. and we are very anxious to try and there's some people, a bit concerned about the sponsored equipment from last season. We have still got that sorted, and as soon as we can get the lockdown eases, we will get that over to you. So please bear with us. The equipment's there. We'll get that to you as quick as we possibly can. But again, right, that's right out of our hands as we speak right now. Adam, I just want to finish on, and I don't want to single anybody out with regards to volunteers. The volunteers at the Belfast Giants, we've touched on how important the season ticket holders are, but there's so many volunteers from literally, you're talking about the 50-50 sellers, right the whole way up to the guys that basically do all the bits behind the scenes as well. How important are they as part of our squad, our family?
Oh, it's super important. I think that that's one of the number one things that I noticed when I arrived here in Belfast was how much support there was there from the volunteers, and how imperative they are to running our game tonight, our game to game night experience. So I think that they're extremely important to us, and again, someone that doesn't go amiss with us. So we're certainly looking forward to getting back in the building and seeing all the volunteers, and hopefully everybody is doing well throughout this, and hopefully it's been an hour and a half here, but something that can kind of get your mind back on hockey, and hopefully we're able to provide a few more of these, and maybe I'll even figure out how to work my video and shared screen here for the next one.
Well, we're hoping to do that in a couple of weeks' time, so if you could do it by then, that would be great. We want to hear from you. We want to hear from the fans. What would you like to see us doing on these nights? And we'll try and we want to try and get a couple in over the next few weeks and months. So if you've something that you maybe want to see, that obviously the coaching clinic tonight, if you've something else that you've got in mind that you think might work, drop us an email or send us a tweet into the guys on the social media platforms, and we'll try and take those on board. We've had some brilliant questions tonight, but the best one is going to win a prize. It's got a signed Belfast Giants jersey, and the winner has been selected. So behind the scenes, Laura Cameron, you've won the signed jersey. DM us on our social media, and we'll get the jersey back off you. So thanks very much for everybody that's watched tonight. Thanks for all your questions, for all your interaction. We really do appreciate it. Mace, Adam, thanks very much for your time, boys. It's been good catching up.
All right, cheers, Simon. Hope all's well. See you soon.
Yeah, thanks, Simon.
Cheers, boys. Listen, guys, thanks very much again for joining us tonight on Belfast Giants TV. It's been on YouTube channel. It's only for season ticket holders. That's the event that we've held tonight, and the next one will only be for season ticket holders. Your support over the years has been it's unbelievable, and we really do appreciate it. So thanks very much for joining us tonight, and we hope you keep it safe, keep washing your hands, and we'll hope to see you soon.